eventually, now that he has proper equipment, and it's not actually hurting him. You see, this is what Goldberg might not be a capable goaltender, but would you really want to stop the puck when you have a Vogue magazine on your fucking kneecap?
What's up, everybody? Welcome to A Conversation with Colin. I'm Greg, and this is my roommate, Colin. Now, sometimes Colin says crazy stuff. So every Tuesday and Thursday, I reach into the random topic pile, pull one out, toss it at him, and we talk it out for your amusement. If you like that, like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends.
I'll subscribe.
You will? Thank you. I got some rhubarb cobbler over here. Colin, are you ready?
Yes.
Today's topic of conversation is the Mighty Ducks, submitted by Agent Bizzle. It's Brian Altano.
Yeah.
We work with him.
Yeah.
That's weird.
We get to talk about the Mighty Ducks today?
Yeah.
All right, let's do it.
So let's talk about a little movie trilogy called The Mighty Ducks. Okay, now there's a lot of movie trilogies.
Right.
I don't feel like talking about any of them.
No.
Lord of the Rings, you can throw it in the trash.
No.
Star Wars, it's basically garbage at this point. Men in Black.
Jones? Men in Black.
Men in Black, throw it right out
Yeah.
there. Indiana Jones is more
Lethal
of like
Weapon.
a... Lethal Weapon's good. But the greatest, I feel, the greatest movie trilogy of all time is The Mighty Ducks.
I agree with you 100%.
And here's why.
Okay.
The Mighty Ducks is a dark story.
It is.
It is a very, very dark redemption saga of an alcoholic.
Yes.
And it's about a man named Gordon Bombay,
Right.
who's caught drinking and driving. This is the way a children's movie starts. Gordon Bombay is caught drinking and driving. He's forced to take over a Pee Wee hockey team, which never happens. No one is never, like, you see guys on the highway cleaning up trash and stuff like that. They're all drunk driving, shooting up behind the wheel and stuff like that. They don't go, hey, go take over the Little Giants for the year. That never happens. Gordon Bombay, he's arrested for drunk driving. He's forced to take over a Pee Wee hockey team, who is created by or owned by, what's his name?
Ducksworth.
I knew it was a fake name.
Right. Yeah, Mr. Ducksworth.
Mr. Ducksworth.
Who's the head of the
Scrooge's
law firm?
cousin.
Who's the head of the law firm that Gordon Bombay works at?
Yes.
It's
Duckenberg and Ducksworth.
It's a tale of poverty as well.
It is.
And it's a tale of later on life-threatening injuries and all sorts of things. But in that first movie, in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, District 5, this bullshit hockey team with talentless people that don't know how to skate.
They're hacks. They're practicing in the middle of it's not even a rink. It's just an ice field, really.
Yeah.
In the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of Duluth.
So Gordon Bombay, he gets this job, this fat waste of a drunk. And he gets in his car, and he drives his car onto the ice to warn these children. His limousine. To warn these children that he's now their coach. The first thing he does is he threatens all of their little duck lives by driving onto the ice. He could have created a hole, killed them all, drowned, and just walked away.
Yeah, he fucked up. And he has this goalie, Goldberg, who tapes magazines to his legs. And
which is a prison technique.
Everyone's ill-equipped to play hockey. And the irony here, of course, is that Gordon Bombay, as a child, was a prodigy hockey player who played for a team called the Hawks. And the Hawks are in the same league as District 5. And what
happened to this young boy in this seminal moment in his life during the playoffs?
He hits the post.
That's right.
And a penalty shot. They lose the game.
Right. And that's when he found that darkness.
Yeah, that's when he gave up the game of hockey. Maybe a little later than that. And in the arena, it has, of course, they show you Hawks have won every year.
Yeah.
And then there's that one banner where they came in second place.
Yep, and it's all Gordon's fault. And there's a picture of his father crying next to the banner. He's disappointed. That's when he gave up the game of hockey and started the game of alcoholism.
Right, alcoholism and law.
Took him down and law, which just go hand in hand.
So eventually,
that and the Ducks.
Now here's another wild card in the first Mighty Ducks movie is Hans, right?
Yes.
Hans is the guy that owns the local hockey shop.
He's sort of an Obi-Wan figure to Gordon's alcoholic Luke.
Right, exactly. And he sees something special underneath all of the bourbon-soaked promise of Gordon Bombay's aborted hockey career. And so he's the one who he hooks him up with some sponsors. Ducksworth, of course. Duckburg is from the DuckTales. That's a totally different thing.
Don't cross the sponsorships.
They buy them all this equipment, and they still can't play. They don't have jerseys. They don't have because we're kind of skipping around a little bit. But they get their asses kicked when Gordon Bombay is first their coach. He's embarrassed by them.
Of course, he doesn't know the first thing. Hans, for example, what's his job? He fixes sticks in a shed.
Yeah.
Which is what you make $3 a year doing that.
Sharpening skates.
Yeah, and he's just like, I got some information for you, and it's nothing. He's completely useless. Gordon's still a drunk, and he's trying to coach these guys through it, but he's clearly he's doing like the deadbeat dad thing where he's just trying to get these kids to like live vicariously through his own misery and failures.
Yeah, definitely.
Instead of actually getting out there and fixing shit for his own life, he's beating these kids every week.
Yeah, like his goalie's afraid of the puck. So what does he do? He ties the goalie to the net and then just has everyone take slap shots at him.
Which is actually called child abuse for most people. I don't know if you knew that. If you tie a kid to a neck and you throw hockey pucks at him, that's child abuse.
Yeah. I mean, I played goalie in hockey for a long time. I was
Anyone
afraid of
ever
the
do
puck
that
when
to
I was
you?
a kid. No, like you eventually just realize that there's nothing to be afraid of. I think Goldberg would have eventually, now that he has proper equipment, and it's not actually hurting him. You see, this is what Goldberg might not be a capable goaltender, but would you really want to stop the puck when you have a Vogue magazine on your fucking kneecap?
No.
I mean, perhaps if your blocker is a cardboard box, you might not be interested in fucking stopping the puck. So they didn't really give him a chance.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Give him an AGM or something. It's full of ads.
Yeah, give him something. Yeah, give him a little something to think.
Pad that out. Get a couple of Nintendo Powers in there.
So eventually this team starts to turn around. The turning point in the movie is when Adam Banks joins the team.
Yeah, he's a turncoat.
And Adam Banks basically is a Hawk. He's the captain of the Hawks. And the districts are redrawn in a gerrymandering scheme that we don't really get into, in which Adam Banks is suddenly drafted on a District 5.
Now see, it's worth mentioning right here that there is another running theme throughout the Mighty Ducks trilogy, and that all the referees are basically 1980s WWF referees, where they're not paying attention. You could run up, you could shiv a kid in the neck, and he's like, nope, turns around. They're like, come on, man. He's like, I didn't see shit. Don't worry about it. They keep playing.
It's awesome. So Adam Banks, his dad goes and threatens the coach.
Yeah.
I can't remember the coach's name. What was the coach, the dickhead coach's name?
Oh, yeah.
Of the Hawks.
Piece of shit. He's dead now.
I can't remember his name. But he goes and threatens them, all this thing. There's nothing they can do about it. Adam Banks comes to the team very reluctantly, starts to light the lamp for the Ducks, changes the whole offensive dynamic of this team. And they get proper jerseys, those ugly green Ducks jerseys. They start playing well. They make the playoffs by a hair. And then, lo and behold, the Hawks, who destroyed them in that very first game when they were District 5, are their opponent in that final game.
And the whole
Jack Riley. Thank you.
Everybody's yelling it. Now, it's worth mentioning, too, that throughout all of this, Gordon Bombay is having these really soaked memories, these flashbacks that just look like the camera's covered in Vaseline.
Yeah.
And he's just like, oh, I was a fucking kid. And they're like, you hit the post, but a quarter of the way in the other direction, you would have missed the goal entirely.
Right.
And he was hung up on this one detail forever. And I think that was the difference between, him hitting the gym and him hitting the bottle.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, he does have these flashbacks of him with his dad specifically. His dad puts his scarf on him tight, and he's straightening his jersey, shooting into the pail on the ice.
Yeah, and then he's in that flashback, he misses the goal, and his dad looks him dead in the eye, and he goes, you're fucking dead. And then
that's only in the DVD extras.
So the extras.
Yeah.
And then his mother leaves.
Right.
And because she doesn't want a deadbeat son.
No,
and then he turns to that darkness.
She goes marry. So what happens with the mom is she goes and marries into a family where the mom had died, but the son is going to Cornell and playing hockey there because I made that all up. That doesn't actually happen. So
let's talk about some of the running themes in the trilogy here. So in the first one, you've got this down and out Pee-wee hockey team, mostly fat kids.
Right.
But they start to bring in some diversity. They start to bring in some women. Right. And they'd only play for a few minutes at a time, but still, it's more than most of their players allow.
What's his girlfriend's name? Connie.
Yeah, Connie.
She's in there.
You got
Julie the cat.
Julie the cat captain. It's only in it for a minute or two.
Right.
And they even allow some non-whites, which the NHL actually didn't start
Luis
doing
Mendoza?
until 2 years ago. The NHL
Kenny Wu?
Yeah. Banned black people.
So the Mighty Ducks 2 is when things start to get real crazy. So at the end of the Mighty Ducks, as we might remember, Gordon Bombay brings this team to the championship, and then it reignites. Now that the bourbon is not flowing through his brain anymore, he's like, I actually really enjoy hockey. He goes to take an AHL, he goes to try to make the minors in hockey. And in the beginning of Mighty Ducks 2, he's playing for a team called the Waves, I think, right?
Yeah, there's that scene where he takes his last bottle and he throws it off the bridge, hits a wall, and he's like, I'm done with this stuff.
And now he's playing hockey, and he gets injured in this. And so he goes back to Minnesota right when he's on the cusp of making the NHL. And the Mighty Ducks are kind of still hanging around. He gets the team back together, but they're not going to play in Minnesota anymore. Now somehow they're playing at the Junior Goodwill Games.
Right. They're in the Olympics.
Right. Basically,
because that makes sense.
Yeah. So they're playing, and in the Olympics, the Junior Goodwill Games. We have wings.
No wings.
All right.
And should we take a break?
Keep going.
Okay.
Are they duck wings?
No.
So in the Junior Goodwill Games, the Hawks are now Iceland, basically. That's Team Iceland, which have, ironically, very similar black jerseys.
Right. It's a team of, it's actually entirely Caucasian, white males with black jerseys on, which is it's the team they fight in every Mighty Ducks.
Yep.
It's a ragtag group of women and children and ethnically diverse individuals fighting against the white man.
Now here's a few good things happening in Mighty Ducks. So first of all, Gordon Bombay becomes like a celebrity, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of gets to his head. Mm-hmm. And he also starts to befriend the equipment manager of Iceland, that attractive woman who I can't remember her name.
Right, he's banging abroad on the other side.
Yeah, and at one point, some of the team sees them going out to get ice cream together, and they come back, and everyone's mad at them. Yeah. And one of the Bash brothers goes, "Ice cream with the enemy, huh, coach?" Yep. And then they refuse to play for him because he's fucking philandering with Iceland's coaching staff.
Yeah, and I want to mention too that Charlie Conway, who's one of the stars of the first one, has a mother who is different in the first and the second movie. Because by the second movie, she said, "I'm done with you, Ducks."
That's we forgot about that whole thread about how during when he was still in remission, for him it's not even the right word, he's still fueled with alcohol and might be even smoking crack on there. We don't really see some of the harder things.
Gordon passes some of the darkness to him.
And he's trying to bang the mother of one of his hockey players, one of the more promising hockey players, Charlie Conway, who becomes the captain of the team. And then
trying to get that flying V.
In the second movie, remember, he hurts himself. And there's not a roster spot for him.
Nope.
And so he ends up becoming the assistant coach during the Iceland game at the end. Yeah. Because they need a place for Banks to play. Because Banks, of course, he lights the lamp.
Yeah, no, he's in.
He butters the bread.
He's future NHL gold right there.
So there's a few interesting things. We brought up Julie the Cat Gaffney. Julie the Cat Gaffney played for a hockey team in Bangor, which is in the middle of Maine.
Yep.
A much better goalie than Goldberg. Doesn't really get to play. They put her in during the first Iceland game when they're getting killed. She punches a guy in the face, gets removed from that game, and then only is inserted during a penalty shot in the last game. So Gordon Bombay doesn't have good management in terms of talent.
No, not at all.
He has loyalty to the people he already knows.
Well, I mean, of course he does. He's inventing things on the fly.
Right.
Like he's like, let's try this technique that's never worked in the history of hockey.
And then, it's Keenan.
Yeah. Keenan Thompson
is playing street hockey.
Yep. From Good Burger.
And they're just so happen to see him play, and he does a thing called the knuckle puck. Now, let me just give you a little insight into this, okay? I played ice hockey for my whole child and teen years, and people were legit trying this shit.
The knuckle puck?
When Mighty Ducks 2 came out, as if it actually worked.
It's like trying to fly. What are you, crazy?
And people would put the puck, during practice, be like, "I'm gonna do a knuckle puck," just fly over the glass.
Of course.
Into the fucking net.
Then you had the Bash brothers, who were these two steroid kids.
Yeah.
Hopped up on all types of things.
Yeah, just
their moves only worked at every 4 out of 5 times.
Yeah.
The other 5th time they would kill somebody.
Yeah.
Kill a cop.
They would do wrestling moves where they would like clothesline dudes and stuff.
They were like young Marty McSorleys from that
right.
show.
That's exactly right.
Just big bruiser, just train wrecks.
That's exactly right. And of course we had Kenny Wu, who was a figure skater. We had the guy I can't remember the guy from the South who had great puck handling skills.
Yeah.
Luis Mendoza, who
had a lasso too.
Yeah, lasso.
He used a goddamn lasso on the fucking ice.
And he got a penalty for lassoing.
Yeah, it's not even legal.
You got a penalty for lassoing.
You bring in things from it's not even a sport. It's like bringing a bull riding equipment into throw it on the ground. Why don't you just take a rat trap?
It didn't make any sense.
Unbelievable.
Luis Mendoza couldn't stop. He could skate really fast, but he couldn't stop.
Right. No one ever taught him. So he would just smash through the glass.
So this was the best they could find.
Yeah, this is it, especially in the Olympics.
So they're putting these teams away. Remember they played Trinidad and Tobago in the first game. I didn't know Trinidad and Tobago had a hockey team. They beat them 14-0. Mm-hmm. They go through Germany and Italy. All these teams. They play Iceland. They get the shit kicked out of them.
Yeah.
Again, the redemption game, Iceland, penalty shots, all these kinds of things. They win, and we're missing the major piece of this puzzle. The coach of Iceland was a hockey player called Wolf the Dentist Stanza. Right?
Yes.
And they called him the dentist because he was like a fighter and a bruiser.
Yeah, he got teeth out. There's
a famous scene in the game, or in the movie, where they're practicing, and Iceland comes on the ice because it's time for them to practice. And it's our ice now. Mm-hmm. And they get into this little conflict or whatever, and he's like, "You were a goon," or whatever. Gordon Bombay's like, "You were a goon." He's like, "At least I was there." And it really stung.
It did.
That Gordon Bombay didn't make the NHL, but Wolf the Dentist Stanza did make the NHL.
And that's why you didn't see him in the third one, really, because he was back in that bottle.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And before we move on to Mighty Ducks 3...
We don't have to talk about Mighty Ducks 3.
We should talk about it specifically for wheelchair hockey. We should talk about Mighty Ducks 3.
That's right.
But...
That was before we go, I want to say real quick, that was in the original spec script for the Mighty Ducks 3. It was entirely wheelchair-based. Now, that was impossible to pull off physically, because when you put ice skates on a wheelchair, it turns into a sort of a Ben-Hur death machine. So you don't want that.
So, but the touching thing about the coach in the third one, whose name was Orion, if I remember correctly, was that he played for the Minnesota North Stars at the time. And they wrote in this whole theme that in real life, the North Stars moved to Dallas and become the Dallas Stars. And when the team in Mighty Ducks moves, he stays. And everyone wondered, why did he throw it away? And why is he such a dickhead, to everyone? Why is he so mean? And the Mighty Ducks end up finding out that his daughter was injured in a car accident and is handicapped. And she's in a wheelchair and he's kind of on the ice with her. I
laughed at that, I'm sorry.
He's in the wheelchair kind of having fun with her or whatever, and they realize he has a great heart.
Yeah.
But Mighty Ducks 3 sucks.
And he's also leaching off of her disability check.
Oh, no doubt about it. And he coaches this team at the academy, and the JV team is somehow better than the varsity team. And there's all this confusion. The Mighty Ducks 3 is a throwaway. But Gordon Bombay does come back in that for like a few cameos. But he didn't, Emilio Estevez didn't have time for that. So
now, Colin, I love you. I can talk about Mighty Ducks with you until the day I die.
Right.
We're Ducks forever.
No doubt.
Let's wrap this bitch up.
Okay.
Well, Colin, I think that about wraps up the conversation. If you enjoyed it, fave this vid and sub to the channel. We'll have a topic every Tuesday and Thursday, but until then, have a convex day.
That's good.
Handwriting's better than that.
It says convex.
Have a convex day.
Go Ducks.
And how he seems to just be there all the time.
Yeah.
And he lives next door to the Matthews family, and he teaches them middle school, and then he teaches them in high school, and then they go to college, and fucking voila, there's Mr. Feeney.